1.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Meinninger, and I'm here to share one of my very special recipes with you today. It's really very easy to make, although it sounds kind of fancy, but it's called shrimp, crab, and artichoke au gratin. And I've also substituted other things in it. I've made it with scallops. Anyway, let's begin. Okay, our first step is to saute some mushrooms. We're going to saute a half a pound of sliced mushrooms in a quarter of a cup of butter. Let me melt that butter first. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of onion and a half a teaspoon of minced garlic. And just as soon as this melts, we'll get started. I've made this recipe so many times I could probably do it in my sleep. It's a wonderful recipe for bridal showers, baby showers, or just a nice family dinner that you want to have. It makes a fair amount, and so I would say it would easily serve 8 people easily. And I've just enjoyed making it, and I haven't made it for a while, so this was a good excuse. Okay. All right. I'm going to put my mushrooms in, my sliced mushrooms. My half a teaspoon of minced garlic. And you can add more or less depending on your taste. And then my 2 tablespoons of onion. And then we're just going to let that saute for about 5 minutes.
1.
Okay, I have sauteed my mushrooms and garlic and onion for 5 minutes. And now I'm going to, let's see, now I'm going to remove it from the heat and stir in a quarter of a cup of flour, a half a teaspoon of pepper, and 3/4 of a cup of milk. And I'm going to stir that, stick that right in there, stir that up and put it back on the heat. And I'm going to bring it to a boil, stirring it constantly. So we're going to let this thicken up. It doesn't really take very long. Again, just a few minutes. It's starting to smell good, even though it only has mushrooms and onions and garlic in it. But it's starting to thicken up nicely. This is a nice big skillet that is really good for dishes like this where you kind of cook them in the skillet. And I got this as a wedding gift or a shower gift 59 years ago. That's a long time, and it has been wonderful. Okay, that has thickened up nicely. And let's see, Now I'm going to add a half a cup of sharp cheddar cheese. And I'm going to stir that until it's melted. Okay. And once it is melted, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup. I think it's 3/4, let's see. No, 2/3. 2/3 of a cup of white wine. And I just use whatever wine we're currently drinking because we drink white wine. So this is Jacob's Creek Chardonnay. Just put that in there. Stir that up. You can smell the wine. So it gives it a little kick. Okay. Get that incorporated. Okay. All right, so that we've got our nice sauce material there with our mushrooms in it. So now we're going to add a pound of crab meat, a pound of shrimp, which has been cooked. I just buy the frozen cooked with the tail on, then I defrost it and pull the tail off. And I can just get a big bag of that at the grocery store. Okay. So I have a pound of crab meat, which I always get at Costco because they sell Phillips crab meat, and of course, I love Phillips crab. And a pound of shrimp, cooked shrimp. Artichokes, either frozen or canned. I just use a can because it's easier and I chop it up. But you can get frozen, but then I think you have to cook the frozen. This just eliminates that step. Okay, here we go. We're gonna put them all in. Start with the shrimp. The shrimp. Goes the artichoke. Now the crab meat has a tendency to break up, even if you use lump crab meat, which I've done. So I try to do it as gently as possible. Pound of crab meat. Doesn't that look good? All right, so I'll just sort of turn that over. And 2 cups of sharp cheddar. And then just let that all, don't know that the cheese necessarily has to melt, because again, I don't want to break up the crab any more than I have to, because this will all melt as it's baking. See how simple this was? All you need is to have the ingredients, and then it just goes together very, very easily. Okay, now This goes into a buttered casserole dish. I've already buttered the casserole dish. My daughter makes this also. She's a really good cook. She likes to experiment, and so she makes a lot of interesting things. Okay, just turn this off. Okay. All right, now last step is a little topping. And it calls for just a crumb topping, but what I like to use on my casseroles and such is something a little different. I like to take a sleeve of Ritz crackers, crush them. I'm just crushing that way. And if I can get them open, that's helpful. Okay, so just a sleeve of, and this really probably makes a little bit too much, so I won't use it all. And then I melt about 1/4 cup of butter. Not necessarily. Okay. And then I'm going to do a couple of shakes of Parmesan cheese. That gives it a little zip. And just kind of stir that up. Get that incorporated. And take my butter. Pour the butter on. Just mix it around. And it doesn't have to be wet, wet, wet. And then, just depending on how much you want to use, you can just sprinkle it on top. And it really, I just love, I love the Ritz cracker flavor. And so, if I have a choice, I'll top any casserole with this kind of a topping. And that's probably plenty. Okay. And then we bake it in the oven at 375 for 30 minutes or until it's bubbly and browned on top. So here's what we end up with. Okay, so it comes out looking like this, and it's a nice consistency. You don't really need to have rice, or I've thought about different things like angel hair pasta to put under it or something like that, but we usually just eat it plain. And it's good with a salad or with fruit, and it can be very filling. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and bon appetit.